either approve or reject the nominees to the respective positions within 14 days and 21 days respectively. In this regard, I wish to guide the two departmental committees and the House as follows. 1, that the committees should notify the nominees and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearings in good time. The notification should therefore be made on Thursday, June 28, 2018. And 2, that the committees should thereafter commence the necessary approval hearings and submit their respective reports to the House within the statutory timelines. Honourable members, following a House business, the committees are therefore at liberty to seek extension of the approval hearings from the House as they find appropriate. I thank you, honourable members.
Order number 4, petitions.
Petition. The Honourable George Veuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Public petition by the residents of Embakasi West constituency
Is praying the House to do.
that the society has created employment to hundreds of youths in Embakasi West constituency and more than 50,000 Kenyan citizens directly and indirectly through the slot and gaming machines. The said machines are owned, run and managed by Kenyans as well as directly benefiting Kenyan communities. Members of the society in the last few months have been arbitrarily arrested, harassed, and their constitutional rights violated, slots and gaming machine confiscated, destroyed, and burnt, hence their earnings stolen in the process. That in the recent past, there has been a crackdown on slot gaming machines and thousands of
this matter brought from Tharaka Nithi, I would like them to widen the scope and to ask the stakeholders what is going to be done about so many people.
Carefully examine. And of course, if proper recommendations are made, perhaps then the House could provide the necessary budgetary allocation, if it will be enough. So the two petitions stand committed to the relevant departmental committees. The one on wildlife, environment and natural resources, and the one on betting machines to the Committee on Sports, and headed by the Honorable Victor Munyaka. Proceed next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of the Majority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, June 27th, 2018, afternoon sitting. Number 1, legal notice number 128 of 21st June 2018, relating to the provisions, professional collection of taxes and duties Act, Cap 415, from the National Treasury. 2, the second report of the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the National Assembly on treaties ratified by the Republic of Kenya for the period June 2018, pursuant to Section 15, subsection 1 of the Treaty Ratification Act of 2012, revised 2014. 3 is a National Ethics and Corruption Survey report from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for the year 2016. 4, the annual reports and financial statements of the Kenya Society for the Blind for the year 2017. 5, second policy and criteria for sharing revenue among marginalized areas from the Commission on Revenue Allocation, CRA. 6, performance audit report from the Office of the Auditor General on the provisions of the sewerage in major towns in Kenya, a case study of Kisumu City for the period April 2018. Number 7, performance audit report from the Office of the Auditor General on the provisions of the mental health care services in Kenya for the period December 2017. And lastly, the report of the Auditor General on financial statements in respect of the following institutions for the year that ended 30th June 2017 and the certificate therein. And the institutions are as follows: the Presidency, Kibabii University, Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organization, CALRO, National Police Service Commission, State Department of Trade, Vote 1174, Ministry of East African Community, Labor and Social Protection, State Department for Information, Communication and Technology and Innovation, and finally, Sony South Nyanza Sugar Company Limited.
Well, the guidance issued earlier on, as I indicated, is that legal notice 128 of 21st June 2018 relating to professional collection of taxes bill regulations are not going to be taken to the Committee on Delegated Legislation because of their very nature, touching on taxes and finances and levies. So now that I can see the chair of Finance Committee is in the House, the early instruction is that your committee should sit and table a report on or before 4th of July for some reasons, so that the House can deal with that issue on that legal notice. The Honorable Kenan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 27th June 2018, the report of Parliament of Kenya delegation to the 19th Annual Forum of Parliamentarians for Global Action held in Milan, Italy, from 27th to 28th November 2017. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Leader Majority.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 28, subsection 4, this House resolves to further alter its calendar for the second session 2018 as adopted on February 14, 2018, and altered on March 1st, 2018, by proceeding to a recess from Thursday, July 5th, 2018, at the rise of the House, and returning its regular sittings on Tuesday, July 24th, 2018.
Leader of the Minority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to give notice of the following motion, that aware that Lake Victoria, the largest freshwater lake in Kenya, is located in 3 East African countries. Further aware that the islands of Migingo, Remba, Sigulu, and Kiwa, among others in the surrounding waters of the lake, are located within Kenyan borders, recognizing the process made in the East African Community integration process in deepening and widening the interaction process, including ensuring border communities are sensitized on these matters, cognizant of the fact that Kenyans living along the borders, including fisherfolk and pastoral communities, have continuously suffered from external threats through harassment, raids, and arbitrary arrests, with even those operating in economic zones not immune to such threats. Cognizant of the fact that the provisions of Article 238, Sub-Article 1, 239, and 241(3)(a) of the Constitution stipulate that the national security involves the protection of Kenya's territorial integrity and sovereignty, its people, their rights and national interests against internal and external threats. deeply concerned that Kenyans, especially those around Lake Victoria, the Indian Ocean, and other border areas, continue to face harassment and displacement by persons from neighboring countries, this House resolves that the government exercises its powers to protect Kenyans from harassment by external threats and takes adequate measures to ensure that Kenyan territorial integrity is guaranteed and safeguarded. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, that's a party-sponsored motion. So, it obviously, in terms of, for the members who have not looked at their standing orders, again, it means that it takes priority over many private members' motions. That's what should be noted. Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
These members who have their cards for intervention, Honorable Pukose, you want to intervene on?
Mr. Speaker, I had wanted to intervene on the petition that had been made earlier. Unfortunately, the 30 minutes elapsed before I was able to get an opportunity. But still,
No, you can't say that. You see, the 30 minutes is the maximum. And since it is at the discretion of the chair, even 10 minutes may be enough. And since we will be dealing with the report when it comes, I'm sure the Honorable Pukose will be able to contribute. This other member who has also put in an intervention, Ogutu Abel, member for Bomachoge Borabu. What is your intervention about?
Mr. Chairman, the same, I needed to contribute the petitions, but Mr. Chairman, if you can allow me to make a comment on what the leader of minorities are.
No, that was notice.
Thank you.
There's no comment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Next order.
Order number 8, the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2018, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Division of Revenue Act number 1 of 2018 to provide for additional conditional allocations to the county governments for financial year 2018-2019 and for connected purposes. Order
Next order.
Order number 9, Committee of the Whole House.
Order. You disappeared. Let me just continue. It was a scenario. Members, we are now in the committee of the whole house. So I'll ask us that we move together. And we are now considering the tax laws amendment bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2018.
In the bill is similar to that of a statute law.
The procedure for this bill is just like
3, Cap 470, Section 2,
I propose that Section 2 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed in the bill. Yes, Chairman, Finance, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I propose that the Section 2 be deleted and substituting, therefore, with the following new amendment. Under the Betting, Lotteries and Gaming Act. Mr. Chair, this is in cognizance that, this bill provides that for the first time, winnings in this country have never been taxed. Anyone who wins, even when you win 100 million, you just take your 100 million. But now we are saying that the bill is proposing to tax. But for the purpose of tax, we are defining
2 be amended as proposed by the chair. Yeah, Honorable Nyikal. Just be having a few so that then we are able to make progress.
Chair,
Honorable Nyikal.
just a clarification. This is on the punters. But if you are betting for the same
difference. I think the chair made it very, very clear.
Yes, Honorable Daud.
Nyikali doesn't bet. You don't bet.
Honorable Daud, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think what has been misunderstood is if a punter or a bettor puts a bet and he loses even 100 shillings, and at the end of the day, or at the end of the month, he gets 200, he will not be taxed on the 200, but he will be taxed on the difference between 200 and 100, on 100 shillings. But Chair, even though this we have gone through it through the committee, it has got its flaws as well. Because how do you prove that this person has betted this many times and lost this much money before winning? Because that we are at the mercy of the companies which do this. So, Mr. Chair, I support, but we need even to make it, we need to strengthen it in the next probably amendment.
I'm sure the chair will be getting to the floor, but before that, Honorable Boko.
Thank you, Chair, for this opportunity. When the chair brought the amendment, it looked very sweet, nice, and very clear. But as we look at it, Chair, in your definition of winnings, you know, the betting exercise is such that people do try many times and finally win. If you ask those who have won, they'll tell you, I've been doing this. So, and when we listen from the leader of government business, he seems to say that we only take that particular one where you won. But if that be the case, then, Chair, I would really wish you look at redefining winning so that they take care of the processes that this person went through and how much he spent before winning. Thank you, Chair.
Well, shall I, before I give any other member, shall I give the chair an opportunity probably to extrapolate further this particular amendment so that then we make progress?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me make it very clear. I know the members have really understood, but I think the issue is how to put a period.
And if you listen carefully on the amendment, for the purpose of tax, there should be always a defined period, so that within a month, this withholding tax is actually done monthly. So if the definition has taken care of that by saying the positive difference between the payout made and takes place in a given month. So in every month, it is the total of what you put in and the difference between the total of what you put in and what you have won in that month. So it takes care of the fears of the members.
Very well, honorable members. That having been said, I put the question that Section 2 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Section 10.
Honorable members, I propose that Section 10 of the Income Tax Act be part of the bill. Yes. Honorable members, let me take that again. I propose the question that Section 10 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed in the bill. There are no amendments on that one. I will now put the question that Section 10 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed in the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Section 22C, subsection 2 of the Income Tax Act.
I propose a question that Section 22C2 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed in the bill. Honorable Chair.
Mr. Chair, there was an interference by the chair budget. I'm sorry that I didn't pay particular attention. I hope we are in the new section 30A.
Yes, we are now in section 22C2.
Okay.
That is on, you have an amendment on affordable housing.
All right.
Yes. I hope the chair of budget doesn't come back to you.
No, he was making some consultation. Mr. Speaker, I want to move that I propose that this particular section be amended by inserting the following new row immediately after the proposed amendment to section 22C2. New amendment by inserting the following new section after section 30, and that is section 30A, 1A. Section 30A, 1. A resident individual who satisfies the commissioner that in the year of income that the person, A, is eligible to make an application under an affordable housing scheme, B, has applied and is awaiting the allocation of a house as in affordable housing scheme, C, is saving for a purchase under affordable housing scheme approved by the cabinet secretary in charge of housing, shall for that year of income be entitled to a personal relief in this act referred to as affordable housing relief. Two, a person who has been allocated a house under the affordable housing scheme and has been subject to an affordable housing relief under subsection 1 shall not be eligible for a subsequent relief. Mr. Chair, the justification for this is, currently there is a maximum, by law, there's a maximum amount you can contribute, which is 4,000 shillings per month, which translates to 48,000 shillings annually. But now we are proposing to double it to 8,000, which will make the savings every year for this particular individual who is to benefit from the affordable housing scheme to 96.
For house and affordable, it looks to me like that should be under affordable housing scheme. Yeah, so there is yes. Yes. So,
Yes.
so the chair can move that amendment. Yes.
Yes, maybe Chair, you can speak to that for purposes of record, because that's just a correction on the face of the statement.
Yeah, if Mr. Speaker, if I'm not wrong, I think I must have really also discovered that there is some typos. Mr. Speaker, I want to move that under subsection 2, a person who has been allocated a house under the affordable housing scheme.
Order member, the one we are referring to is B. Clearly, there is a word under that is left out. That is basically an error on the face of it. Why don't you speak to it?
Yes,
for purposes of record.
Mr. Speaker, under B, under subsection 1B, it should read that, and as applied and is awaiting the allocation of a house under affordable housing scheme. And, yes, the word under.
The correction is noted.
Yeah.
Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that section 22C2 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Section 34.
Honorable members, I propose that section 34 1 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed in the bill. There are no amendments on that one. And I put the question that section 34 1 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed in the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Section 35.
Honorable members, I propose that section 35 1 of the Income Tax 1 and 3 actually. Let me take that again. Honorable members, I propose that section 35 1 and 3 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed in the bill. Chair, you have an amendment.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I propose that an amendment be done to section 35(3) under section 132(1) by inserting the following new subsection immediately after subsection 1. That is a new subsection 1A, that notwithstanding subsection 1, for the purpose of collection of withholding tax for winnings, a person shall not be required to have a personal identification number and a withholding tax certificate. That is under the new subsection. Mr. Speaker, this one is in cognizance that most of these players who play, you know, if we don't do this, it can be an effort in futility in implementation. I think in the past, there have been an attempt to do this, and it, according to the Kenya Revenue Authority and even Treasury, it is sometimes very difficult to implement some of these proposals, especially when it is dealing with withholding tax, which are actually done monthly, where the players are small timers, people who play on the mobile, they play on the internet. And when you talk about, let's say, PIN certificate and raising withholding tax, and they have 100 shilling, 50 shilling, and that is the bulk of winnings, then it becomes an effort in futility. Therefore, this is to exempt that they will not be required. They will remit the tax, but they will not be required to be accompanied by PIN certificate and withholding tax. Under B, Mr. Speaker, under B, we are proposing to delete the proposed amendment to Part 1 of the schedule. Then under C, Mr. Speaker, we are proposing to do we are proposing an amendment by inserting the following new amendment immediately before the proposed amendment to paragraph 3 of the head B in the third schedule. Head 1, we insert the following new paragraph immediately after paragraph 2, affordable housing relief. We are proposing that the amount of affordable housing relief shall be 15% of gross emolument, but shall not exceed 108,000 per annum. Yes. Justification for this, Mr. Speaker, is that, you know...
Honorable Chair, you know, we are dealing with section that 5.1 and 3. Of course, we appreciate your desire to move fast on this one, but let's move one section after the other.
All right, well
that helps. Honorable members, I propose the question that section 35, 1 and 3 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, Honorable Nyikal.
Maybe I don't understand, but how can it be that somebody who is going to be taxed has made a considerable winning is not required to have an identification number? Mr. Chair, are we talking about children? Are we talking about foreigners? Because then we are really opening it wide. If the purpose is the difficulty in tax collection, really, then we should relook at the whole of that, unless I don't understand what it means here.
Yes, very well. Before I come to you, Honorable Picose, Honorable Majority Leader.
Chair, I think I really want to advise the Chair of Finance to drop this amendment, because the principle of taxation, collecting of taxes, is anchored on PIN and withholding tax certificate. So I think there's no way we will collect tax as winners if the person doesn't have. So it's incumbent upon the said companies to register their clients. Yes, they must register their client, have their ID card, and have their PIN.
Yes, Honorable Chair, I will give you a chance, certainly. Just hear from Honorable Pukose.
Chair, I oppose this amendment, and I would advise the chair to withdraw that amendment, because when you say that notwithstanding subsection 1, for purpose of collection of withholding tax for winnings, a person shall not be required to have a personal identification number. It is even encouraging children to also participate in betting. Yeah? So I think, and for any tax collection, it must be actually to be for proper accounting, you must have a PIN number. So the issue of removing a PIN number there, I think is mischievous. For me, we need to, I ask the chair to withdraw that amendment.
Very well. Honorable Kaduri.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to support the sentiments of my other colleagues, because if you don't have a PIN number, you cannot be taxed in this country. Therefore, either the chairman to withdraw or we vote. Then we defeat that amendment.
Yes, Honorable Mwashetani. I'm sure the chair is noting the issues raised. We'll give him us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to add my voice on this amendment. Really, it's not possible for tax to be collected without when there's no PIN. PIN has to be there. You have to register your ID. And in fact, the winnings for anyone who is gambling for now, I think it's better for one to register using a PIN, because that is the way of monitoring collection of taxes. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Maje, I'll come to you, Chair of Budget.
Thank you, Chair. I want also to tell the Chair that the government is doing very well in e-platform, like e-citizen, and getting this certificate is free. So it is easier to give these certificates and identify the person as a Kenyan who is paying tax.
Yes, before I give any further, can we get the chair to still speak to these amendments and the issues raised by the members? Honorable Chair.
Okay. We appreciate what the comments from the members. We actually had a serious stakeholder meeting, and it was actually like they were proposing, including Charity Sweeptech, they were proposing that, if you remember, even before these other players came into play in the market, Charity Sweeptech has actually existed since time immemorial. And they are selling their tickets at 20 shilling, 10 shilling, 50 shilling. Then they say, the proposal was, and listen very carefully, the proposals were two, that either, the charity sweepstakes were proposing that we put a threshold on taxing winnings, that you don't tax anything below 10,000. Then anything above 10,000, you tax, and then it complies with everything. Because, you know, the issue is, if you tax 50 shilling, if you tax 100 shilling, what will happen is,
Order Chair, I did not cut you short, but, please speak to that amendment. I can tell the members are talking about. Order member, Chair.
I'm actually giving justification that our committee, and after hearing all the stakeholders, the explanation from them why they require that we don't tax anything below 10,000.
Order member, Chair, Order Chair.
Let me explain.
Could you listen to the Chair? You know, the amendment and the issues being raised is about PIN.
Yes, I'm explaining.
Or you're using a longer route to speak to that.
Just accept my explanation. You know, the reason why the exemption for PIN is because, you know, when you are taxing winnings, 10,000, small amounts, they are saying it is a futile in implementation. Why? If you don't get this PIN for 50 shilling, somebody who has won 50 shilling, if you don't get the PIN certificate and withholding tax, there will be a penalty of 1,000 shilling for every failure. So with the charity sweepstake particularly, because they actually presented that if we require that everybody gives PIN certificate and withholding tax, and these small timers will fail to do it because, you know, it is expensive even to go to the cyber. So what we did, Mr. Chair, is we had to choose whether we put a threshold that 10,000 and below we don't tax, or we say tax everybody, including 1,000, including 100 shilling, but we don't then require that they submit PIN certificate, so that we actually protect against those ones who will fail to give, and the penalty will be given by KRA.
Very well. Yeah. Chair Budget.
Yes, Chair. Thank you. Mike. Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to support the Chair of Finance, and for this particular reason. One, the requirement for PIN is just to ease KRA's collection of taxes. However, withholding tax is just what the word withholding says. it is withheld by the person who is paying out the winnings. And therefore, the requirement for a PIN for that particular winning may not be very important, other than providing information to KRA that there is a person who has earned an income who could also pay later. Therefore, Chair, if you can protect me from these people shouting.
You are certainly protected, Honorable Chair.
They will have,
and I suspect you almost concluded.
The member for Buri will have an opportunity with
very well, Chair. You know, I'll give to two other members, then the House will have to make a decision on this particular matter. Honorable Kimunya.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Chairman, while I sympathize with the Chair of Finance and Chair of Budget, I think it's important that we first of all contextualize the issue of betting. Betting is first of all for people over 18. So over 18, if we have to control betting, this House has an obligation to first of all make sure that people do not even bet if they are not even registered for tax. Yes. Before people start, putting, because you could put your 20 shillings and you win 200 million shillings and you don't even have a PIN, and because you have an obligation to provide a PIN based on this amendment, the withholding tax will be withheld. The gaming company will tell KRA between a payer and a payee, and then KRA can reconcile who is claiming tax and who is paying tax, so that when you now claim the final tax, already KRA know that withholding tax has been paid on your behalf for so much, and they're expecting you to pay the balance. Now, how do they expect you to pay the balance when they don't have a reference?
Very well, very well. Honorable Nixon, and then we will have to subject this to a vote.
Thank you, Chair. I want to agree with the Chair. We are talking about the winnings. And we are talking about around 10,000, maybe 10,000 people winning every day. And these people, some of them win through M-Pesa, and they are paid directly to their M-Pesa. How then will the betting companies withholding the tax if it is a requirement of care?
And is that, if indeed we want to do it, then unless we propose also that we put a threshold of 10,000 and below, or some amount.
Other members, I will have to put the question. Other members, the House has to decide on this one because we must make movement. Members, I put the question that section 35(3) of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed by the Chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The first schedule, part 1 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed in the bill. Chair. And it is good, Honorable Chair of Budget. You look like if you sit next to the chair, because of those papers, you're able to support each other, and then you can make progress.
All right. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I want to move that in the provision relating to the part 1 of the first schedule, I'm proposing the proposed amendment, Mr. Speaker, will give undue advantage to the developers and operators, and these operators might not actually entirely operate within the zone. So by exempting, it will give undue advantage, and therefore we are proposing to delete.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the first schedule, part 1 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed by the Chair.
Power purchase agreement. Why are we removing from developers and then moving it to specific individuals, a power producer under a power purchase agreement. These are the people we are calling to come and do some power development through Damo in a certain area, right? A PPA. And we are saying the person who has developed the whole infrastructure will not get this relief. But the PPA will give, because we are now deleting what was provided in the bill, which was capital gain accruing to a licensed special economic zone developer or operator, and we are now doing it to a power producer. I want to get the logic behind removing the SEZ, because I thought the whole of this was to help stimulate and entice people to come and develop the special economic zones. Yeah. But we are now seeming to be moving away from the special economic zones to enticing power producers who may be anywhere, not necessarily in the special economic zone. I just want the chair to clarify that to us, perhaps so that we know whether we are talking the same thing.
Very well. I'll give the chair an opportunity to speak to it. Majority Leader.
Chair number one, the deletion that the chair is doing on section paragraph 56, power, on the power, the one on the power producers. I think the amendment to that part one of the schedule to the income tax seeks to delete the proposed new paragraph, but the input of that amendment of the chair now on power is just to attract more investment in the power sector and consequently lower the cost of energy in our country. There are many people, investors, who want to invest in solar energy, who wants to invest in wind energy, who wants to invest in geothermal energy. Outside this amendment is giving them capital gains tax rebates. That's, I think, the essence of what the chair is trying to move.
Yes, yes. Before I come to you or to my left, chair, our budget.
Thanks, Chair. And I want to agree with the majority leader on the position taken by the National Treasury to support the deletion by the chair. And I want to speak on the cost of power, that indeed, unless we are able to attract investors into the power sector to be able to bring down our cost of power, which is one of the key drivers tax incentives to these special economic zones. They're already enjoying a lot of benefits for operating in the special economic zones. Therefore, it makes a lot of sense to share that gain with those who are investing in the power sector. Because even those who are still in the special economic zones, we still enjoy the lower cost of power that will be produced under this new substitution that the chair has done. And with that, Chair, I beg to support.
Honorable Nyikal, do you want to speak to this still?
Yes, and quite often I seek education before I make a decision. If it is capital gains tax, then my little understanding of tax is that it has to do with the exchange of property. I would therefore understand that if people are in a special economic zones, they would not be involved in issues of property purchase and so on. Now, if they are outside, then obviously they'll be involved in a purchase of estate and so on. And so my fear why I would oppose this is then this can actually be used so that people will actually get relief on capital gains tax that may actually not be related to the production of power. To that extent, unless somebody can clarify my mind, I would still oppose this.
Yes. Yes, Honorable Kimunya.
Thank you. I think for being guided, and perhaps for the benefit of the House, if you read the amendments, 56 and 57 are being deleted. So a gap is being created, right? And there's a new provision which would have been 58 being added. So the confusion is probably come because of the drafting. So once we delete in a bill 56 and 57, then the new, this is actually a new 56, which is now talking about compensating tax to a PP, yeah, per producer. So if we are doing from that angle, then perhaps it's a sequencing issue and a drafting issue. So we deal with the deletion of those two, and then we do the new insertion of a new 56. Because this 56 is not a substitution of the current 56 with the wording of another one. It's a totally different thing, and I think that's where the confusion is coming from. Yeah.
Yes. Wait.
If that be so, then it is important for the members, we are not all tax experts, but we have to contribute, that we then get a proper explanation of the new one that is coming that is replacing this. Because you cannot make a decision which is dependent on something that is coming that you still do not know. So I would therefore think that even without going ahead, let's get that explanation, then we can move.
Honorable Dowd, must you really speak to this? Because I'm in the Committee of Finance, Chair. Chair, the 56 should have been deleted completely, and it's the 57 which we are doing an amendment to, not 56. Chair, the way it's been worded in this order paper is wrong. It should have been 56 to be deleted completely. We are replacing 57 and not 56, Chair. Yes.
Yes, final majority leader.
Chair, I think we are confusing members. Number one, based on even the support of the National Treasury, who own this bill, first we are deleting 56 and 57. And we are saying that those provisions are giving investors in the special economic zone undue advantage in terms of getting extra tax rebate in the name of capital gain. Okay, so we delete that. Now, this new amendment, which is giving power producers outside the special economic zones incentives to invest into the country in order to reduce our power cost, is a different amendment by the committee. So I think first we deal with the deletion, and then that can be a new amendment, new section 58 amendment. I mean 56, it can even be new 56. So I think the problem is a procedure. So let's first deal with that, then that can come under new clauses.
Let me give some guidance, because essentially, I think the spirit and the essence is very clear. The issue is deleting 56 and 57, and the chair, you will be at liberty to move now the inclusion of the new clause, which you can as well label 56A, so that then we make progress. Honorable members, shall I now put the question that paragraph 56 and 57 of the first schedule, part 1 of the Income Tax Act, as proposed in the bill, be deleted? Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Chair, you are now at liberty to move the inclusion now of 56A, which is new, so that then we are tidy in how we dispense with that part.
All right, thank you, Chair. I think this is now the right thing, because, after deleting 56 and 57, I therefore move that we substitute it with a new 56, can remain 56A, we insert a new 56A, that compensating tax accruing to our power producer under our power purchase agreement. And this justification was the one which was given earlier, which will actually make our power producing entities more vibrant and to produce more power, and it will even make it cheaper, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Honorable members, I will now propose that first schedule, part 1 of the Income Tax Act be further amended as proposed by the chair. I now put the question, honorable members, that first schedule, part 1 of the Income Tax Act be further amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
That schedule had B of the Income Tax Act.
Honorable members, I propose that that schedule, head B of the Income Tax Act, be amended as proposed in the bill. Yes, Chair. We are now in that schedule, head B, and there are amendments.
All right. I propose that the following amendment be made by inserting the following new amendment immediately before the proposed amendment to paragraph 3 of the head B in the third schedule. That in affordable housing relief, the amount of affordable housing relief shall be 15% of the gross emoluments, but shall not exceed Kenya shilling 108,000 per annum. The justification for this, Mr. Chair, is that you remember initially when we were moving to double the amount for saving for the purpose of acquiring an affordable housing, we doubled from 48,000 annually to 96. But it was of the view of the stakeholders, and including KPMG and the rest, and even our committee, that, you know, given that the objective is to provide housing, cheap housing, affordable housing for the lower cadre, they are likely that if they are given a chance to double their savings, they do not have that saving. So the best way of helping this particular cadre of Kenyans is actually to provide some relief so that they can afford. But to qualify for this, you must have already been chosen to become a beneficiary so that it doesn't benefit everybody.
Yes,
Thank you,
Chair.
Mr. Chair.
So that we move tidily, why don't you just move the amendments in E, F, and G together? Then we are able to dispense with that schedule head B together.
Let's do one, I propose, because they are not very related.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very well, very well. Honorable members, I propose the question that that schedule head B, paragraph 3 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed by the chair. Honorable members, I put the question that that schedule head B, paragraph 3 of the Income Tax Act be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Yes, you can now proceed to paragraph. Yes.
Okay, it was going off.
Yes, I am told you have a further amendment of paragraph 3 and an amendment of paragraph 5, which are actually related, if you look at it. They are all related.
Yes, they are related, actually. I'll move the two together. Mr. Chair, in the proposed bill, you remember that we were talking about the Panthers, that for the first time, the bill is proposing to tax winnings. And in this particular amendment, Mr. Chair, we are proposing that to delete the word 20 appearing in the proposed new subparagraph 1 in the proposed amendment to paragraph 3 of the head B in the third schedule, and substituting thereof with the word 10. And in G, we are proposing to delete the word 20 appearing in the proposed new subsection 1 in this proposed amendment to paragraph 5 of the head B in the third schedule, and substituting therefore with the word 10. The import of this, Mr. Chair, is to reduce the rate of tax which is proposed to at 20 to 10, given that it is being done for the first time. The import of this is so that the punters themselves who appeared before us, were proposing 3%, and that is a practice worldwide for those who are being taxed. But now we are saying no, because it is in Kenya, we are not proposing only to raise tax, but also to discourage. So we are proposing to move from 3 to 10.
Very well, honorable members, I propose a question that that schedule head B be further amended as sorry, honorable members, let me take that again for record. That that schedule head B of the Income Tax Act be further amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, Honorable Daud.
Chair, I am in the Finance Committee, but I disagree with this proposal, in the sense that, Chair, when the Treasury Secretary CS proposed this amendment, it was at 35%, but he reduced it so that he could get enough income, 15 to go to the betting companies, 20 to go to the punters. Now, Chair, if we are going to reduce even that 20 to go to 10, how will the CS Treasury fulfill whatever he has said? So I oppose this amendment.
Yes, Honorable Kimani.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I am in support of this amendment. As a country, we need to come away from where we want to impose higher taxes and hoping that we'll collect more revenue by increasing taxes. Sometimes when you tax less, like you tax 10% instead of 20%, you're likely to have more gains and therefore eventually collect more taxes, especially when the role is to collect more taxes. And with this, I support. Thank you.
Honorable Kubai.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I oppose this amendment, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this betting and gambling, Mr. Chairman, is an Guinevere Act, but more so, we also look at it as a society, as a misnomer in the society. Like when we tax beer, we tax cigarettes and the others. We cannot reduce taxes on gaming and gambling and make this country a gambling nation. If you want to go and gamble, go out there and gamble at a cost. And therefore, it should also be increased. When do we increase taxes on cigarettes and the other things? Those are just luxuries, and they need to be taxed heavily.
Yes, Honorable Onyikal.
Yeah, I also oppose this. You see, the issue on tax on gambling has two purposes. One, which I think is a smaller one, is raising taxes. But the other one, I think in this country, as things stand today, is actually trying to reduce betting. Because betting is an addictive thing. People destroy their families and their property because of betting. It is just like a drug addiction. So it is something that we actually should discourage. And therefore, I oppose this.
Yes, yes. Before I come to you, Honorable Mohammed, Majority Leader.
Let me give the position of the National Treasury. Chair, I think, number one, our starting point, as Honorable Daudi put, the current taxation is on net betting income is at 35%, according to KRA. Okay? And if you reduce it, the information given to the committee is that the estimated gross income from this sector is 206 billion. The total winnings is 181 billion out of that. So as we sit, The net betting income is 25 billion. So the genesis of taxing the winners is coming from this position. But now what the chair is trying to do is that he's trying to change what was in the bill. The bill said 20 for the winnings and 15 for the betting. And from this figure, you can see the winnings is 181 billion. The chunk of the money and where we need to tax is the winnings. So, Chair, I think I really want to ask you that let's have 20 and 10.
What is your point of order? Honorable Kaduri.
Chair, I think the need of majority has misread this house. Out of the bettings that people do, you can bet 10 times and win once. So it is misleading to tell us the winnings are more than the betting companies, what they get. The winnings are very minimal indeed. They are very minimal.
What is the point of order of majority over that other point of order?
Every statement you make in the House, Mr. Speaker, must be a statement of fact. What I'm giving is a fact from KRA. So what is he giving? To tell me that I'm misleading? If you have this is a statement of fact, and I can table this document on the floor of the House, that in a year, the estimated gross income from this sector was 206 billion. Out of it, the total winnings was 181 billion, and the net betting income was 25 billion. What we taxed, the government tax was the 25 billion. That's why I want to amend and say that those guys who go away with the 181 billion, you know how many times you lose is not important. What is important is how many times you win. And these people, the ratio between winning and losing is not here and there. We want to deal with how many guys win.
Yes, very well.
I'm telling the chair that you need to withdraw this amendment. I'm opposing. I want him to withdraw.
Honorable Mohammed.
Thank you, Chair. Look, I want to bring to the attention of the House that gambling is a very crucial thing, and it's a very critical thing for our society. Societal aspects and impacts it has on the community must first of all be examined into that before any amendments are considered. It's obvious and well recorded that the societal impact that gambling, the effects gambling has on societal effects is quite obvious. And given that that is the position, I think the increment of tax will obviously discourage many people to be doing gambling. And therefore, just like where developed countries have actually put higher tax on issues like cigarettes and alcohol and all that addictive actions. And therefore, I say I oppose this amendment and say that higher tax is more preferable in this case.
Very well. You even stood. I'll give you an Abogwen, certainly.
Thank you, Chair. I am one of the members in Finance Committee, and I think to put it right, the leader of majority, you have the correct figures. I got also from inside the, not KRA, mine is from the bettors themselves. They gave me a figure of 190 billion. So I think I am supporting the side of the government where we tax 20% and not 10%.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before I give you to Honorable Agwenyi, Honorable Owino.
Thank you, Chair. This is dead on arrival. What is missing here, how much does the government use to maintain those who are addicted? You will find it is even twice that. So I oppose it. Let us go to the highest. In fact, it could be more deterrent than just encouraging people by the lesser taxes. Thank you.
Honorable Agweji, Chair, please, I'll be giving you a chance, Honorable Chair of
Thank
Finance, to speak to this.
Thank you,
shortly.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I support my leader in the sense that, you know, the tax has got two objectives, this tax. One, to raise revenue. Two, to act as a deterrent to our people. The same way Dr. Nikal said. So I would want to oppose reducing it to 10%. Instead, let it remain at 20%. Even that, we have already given something.
You know, we'll have to subject this to a vote, really. We must, but before then, Chair, do you want to speak to this? Okay, very well. Hmm?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, yeah. Yes, let me just give information. You know, as a majority leader has put it very right, we did not, you know, this is a proposal from Treasury. We were, as a committee, we actually invited the stakeholders. And during deliberation, we realized that we can actually be talking about collecting more. And as Mheshimiwa KK has put it very correctly, if if for the first time, if you are taxing these winnings, and you put a lot of, of course, there are two objectives: to collect tax, at the same time, maybe to make you discourage the players. But if the rate is punitive, they have an option of playing on international platform, and therefore you lose the revenue. So, as Mheshimiwa majority leader has put it right, that we can actually maintain it at 20, but at the same time, let us I just give you information that, those are open options for them.
Very well. The House has to decide on this particular one. On this, let the House decide on this one clearly. Honorable members, I put the question: the third schedule, head B of the Income Tax Act, be further amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. Clearly, the nays have it.
Provisions relating to the Stamp Duty Act, Cap 480, Section 117. 117.1.
Honorable members, I propose a question that Section 117.1 of the Stamp Duty Act be amended as proposed in the bill. Sorry? What is it, Majority Leader?
Chair, I thought after we defeated the chair's amendment, then we put the one in the bill to vote. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Majority Leader, thank you for your hawk eye. Clearly, that is a position. Yes, honorable members, I put the question that the third schedule, head B of the Income Tax Act, be as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Very well, now we move to the stamp duty. As I was proposing that Section 117.1 of the Stamp Duty Act be amended as proposed in the bill. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I propose that that Section 10A, Mr. Chair, in the proposed amendments to Stamp Duty Act, Cap 480, I propose an amendment by inserting the following new item immediately before the proposed amendment to Section 117. Section 10A1, delete and substitute with the following new subsection, 10A1. The collector of stamp duty shall refer to the chief government valuer or a registered and practicing valuer. Any conveyance or transfer on sale of any immovable property before or after registration of the relevant instruments in order to determine the true open market value of such property as at the date of the conveyance or transfer or for purposes of ascertaining whether any additional stamp duty is payable. The import of this, Mr. Chair, is that currently there are only 44 government valuers in the whole country. And given that the government now is moving to affordable housing, it will be a tall order for these government valuers to do alone. And therefore, the proposed amendment will bring in the registered and practicing valuers to help achieve this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable members, I propose a question that section 117(1) of the Stamp Duty Act be amended as proposed by the chair. Yes, Honorable Nikal.
Chair, the danger here, as much as the government sometimes is slow, but opening something is the danger of misuse. So the only thing I would like to be advised on, the valuers, do they have a regulator? Are they regulated? Because if they are not, then there will be danger. I just need that to help my mind make the decision. If the valuers are properly regulated.
Yes, Honorable Kagogo, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm equally concerned, Chair, on this because unless we say the valuers are pre-qualified, they are pre-qualified in the ministries concerned, Mr. Chairman, I think this is subject to misuse. Because if you open to everybody in the market, people are opening their offices, they call themselves valuers. Some of the valuers, even they went ahead even to stealing some people's lands. Mr. Chairman, there is a need for the chair to amend and provide a clear picture on this, whether these people or the private valuers are pre-qualified in the government first before they are given out to work on this exercise.
Certainly, I'll come to this side. Honorable Adipo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a member of the Finance and Planning Committee. Now, we must note that these valuers we are talking about to be added to the government ones are people who have gone through a process to get their qualification. They have their university degrees. They have been fully trained. They are like those who are working in the government. If we say that they cannot do the valuation, and this is only left to the government officers, and these government officers are only 44, compared to the 500,000 units of houses we are going to put up in accordance with the Big Four, then we will be saying that we are failing the system. So, Mr. Chair, I do support this motion as it is, or the amendment as it is. Thank you.
Yes, honorable.
I think the chair should tell us first what is deleting.
What does current section 10?
No, just a minute. Just tell us what you are deleting and part of the explanation, and then we can move on.
Because yes, I think that's a fair point by Majority Leader. Just to, Chair, it's good to help members appreciate the context and what you are deleting in that particular section, so that even as members engage, they're engaging from a point of information. If Chair.
In the current act, Mr. Chair, it is only the government valuer who is actually doing the valuation. So we are just adding.
Order, Chair. Majority
Yes.
Leader, you are the one who raised. Majority Leader. Order, Majority Leader. Order, Majority Leader. You are the one who raised the issue, so it's good you are keen on what the Chair is saying.
Okay, your Majority Leader was not listening, and therefore, thank you, Mr. Chair, for making Majority Leader listen. The only addition we are adding to the current existing, yes. Yeah. This.
Deleting and substituting.
You know we are substituting.
Chair, look at this section on the amendment as per the order paper. The statement reads, delete and substitute with the following new subsection. All the members want to know is what are you deleting? So that then you can help in the context.
Okay, we are deleting that section which only says that the government valuer will determine the value, will do the valuation, and inserting now a new section which, if you want to know how it is appearing now, it is actually like after the word government valuer, we are now adding or a registered valuer. In another way, we should have said deleting and inserting the registered and practicing valuer. You see, the import of this purely is to bring in the registered valuers who are actually registered under under their association, just like engineers of Kenya. These are registered valuers, and there are 600 in the whole country, while the government valuers are 444 only.
Very well. I think, Chair, just to make it even more clearer, are you saying that what you are adding is after the statement government valuer? That's what you are adding to. Or registered. Yes. Honorable Kerema.
Chair, on this matter, I'm in the field, and this field particularly for quite a period. And mine is this. By opening this section as it is, as per the amendment proposed by the Chair, it's subject to abuse. Because it will be like this, and this will be seen and will be remembered for this, that as it is with the doctors, the moment it was around that doctors are going to have private clinics, that's when the Ministry of Health became chaotic. Because they are mainly in their clinics and they have no time to sit in public hospitals. Now on this one, the moment it will be open, Chair, it will be that the moment a person is referred for property to be valued, the moment it goes to the government or to the government valuer, you will be referred to a private valuer always. And it will be a cartel, whereby the government valuer is always referring clients or people to be having valued property to private ones for purposes of where they have deals, making deals. Up to now, as it is, these government valuers are not being even overused. They are adequate, I tell you, as it is in the field. As we speak now, maybe for those who have not been in the field and they have just been doing things selectively, they may think that that's not a fact. But that's a possession. Let it be opened. I tell you that the common mwananchi is the one who is going to suffer. That's a possession.
Order on Abagwenyi. You'll be given a chance. I'll call you out. Order Boboko.
Thank you to the chair and the committee. I don't support it. It will be subject to serious abuse. And an imagination that you looked at valuers who are qualified, they went to university, all these career persons have the similar qualifications. But what will happen is that the valuers will be compromised. Yet, let me tell the committee that we are moving to a level whereby we want to put in more money in the project of housing and therefore land, because it's one of the big four. Now, we want to loosen by allowing any other valuer to go ahead and provide the valuation. That would be dangerous for ourselves. So therefore, I really oppose that amendment and suggest that if there's need for the budget committee to add money, so that this particular valuers can be increased, then it would rather be better. But let's not open it up to private valuers.
Yes, before I give it to Waihenya, Majority Leader, what is it?
Chair, I think let us understand these amendments. And once the House has understood, then we can vote to it. These 4 key projects of the Jubilee, particularly the housing one, the greater part of it is being done by the private sector. Okay? Is being done by the private sector. And we don't want to have a bureaucratic bottleneck from what the chair is talking about. And these even valuers who are outside are Kenyans. And they are registered. So I think the law is very clear on who is they must be registered by the chief valuer in government. So I want the chairman of the finance to change that amendment and give powers to the chief valuer of government. He has a discretion whether to engage his government valuers, and if possible, because there is the element of the government of the private sector. Yes, appoint for a purpose. So I think the amendment is a good amendment, but it still lacks some flesh. So I think the chair needs to do that, because 80% of this housing we are talking about is going to be done by the private sector. So we don't want to have a victim where we only have 44 guys. So I think, but we must not violate the law that the chief government valuer must have an overriding powers.
Very well. I'll give a number of members on this one particular, because I can see the interest. Yes, Honorable Waihenya.
Thank you, Chair. The essence of this new provision, Chairman, is to open up space for private surveyors and valuers so that they can participate in this big agenda of housing. Mr. Chairman, you realize that in this housing component, there will be many people who will be involved through PPP, people from investors from outside, etc. And limiting these 500,000 houses to only 44 government valuers, and you know how bureaucratic our system is, it means that it is going to be very slow. So we are simply saying, if we have private auditors working for government, we should also have private surveyors and private valuers working in government projects.
Yes, I can tell the Honorable Agwenyi is quite, I didn't want to use the word agitated. It is all you, Honorable Jikao, that used that. Honorable Agwenyi, then I move to my left.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I don't know why we want to impute improper motive for some professionals. Surveyors are registered professionally. It's the same way I'm an accountant, I'm registered as an accountant. And Mr. Chairman, you are not saying that those 44 who are working for the government are angels. They are all Kenyans. They are all Kenyans. And they are qualified. Mr. Chairman, we are opening up, please. I taught you, you must respect me.
Honorable Gwenyi, please speak through the chair.
Mr. Chairman, what you are saying is, since these people are professionally qualified and registered with a recognized association, institute, so what we do, we allow them to do the work so that the work can be expedited and the Kenyans can get the housing that they want and the government can get the taxes that they want to raise.
Very well. I'll come to my right, but clearly I must give Honorable, not Nyikao, but Honorable Wino, then Minority Leader, then I'll get back this way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, how fast do we forget? The CS Treasury had the discretion of allowing people to import sugar. And here we have a problem already. We cannot, there is a reason why there are only 44 valuers in the government, because we can hold them to account. We cannot allow and open this wide net so that the 500,000 houses falls on people. It doesn't matter about the profession. What we are saying is that we have seen it and we don't want to see it again. So I oppose.
Minority Leader, so that I can get to my right now.
Mr. Chairman, first, my teacher is complaining bitterly, but I was just wondering because he said, as a member, I was wondering because the accountants are regulated in this country by ISPAC, and I've never seen him among the list of ISPAC members. He has told me he's a chartered accountant and maybe he forgot to register. But anyway, let me move on. Mr. Chairman, to me, maybe you'll forgive me for lack of understanding this, but this amendment is talking about the collector of stamp duties that shall refer to chief government valuer or registered and practicing valuer. My problem with the registered and practicing private valuers is that a lot of times we know what they do, these professionals sometimes do in this country. And for the purposes of collecting stamp duties, chances are that government can lose a lot of money if we are going to just allow private valuers. You can even find a property worth 10 million, valued at 2 million for the purposes of stamp duty. I wanted to have a system where we can hold someone accountable. And so a government valuer, to me, is a public servant whom we can easily hold accountable. So in that case, unless I'm convinced otherwise, I don't think that this amendment is desirable, in my view.
Good.
Yes.
I'll move to that side, but before I move to that corner, we'll have Honorable Nyamai and then Honorable Kiminya.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Chair, I'm just looking at the fact that we are talking about the individual who the collector of stamp duty should make reference to, and putting the chief government valuer at the same level with the other registered valuers, because it is chief government valuer or, to me, simple English means that it is at the same level. So for that reason, I just wanted to finish my statement, Leader. So I'm saying that we are going to lose money through undervaluation. So government is going to lose more money if we allow this amendment to proceed.
Honorable Kiminya.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I can speak with authority, having been Minister for Lands, Minister for Housing, and Minister for Finance. So all the three coming together on collection of stamp duty. And the reason we put the responsibility on chief government valuer was obviously because of the undervaluations. Undervaluations when people are declaring tax, overvaluation when they are selling to government. You saw it in the Ruaraka land, right? So valued by a private valuer, 239 million per acre, right? If it was a government selling, it would have been 10 million. So these issues, we must hold somebody to account. And the most important thing is, I also hear what members are saying, that yes, there's going to be lots of housing schemes coming up that may require housing, that may require stamp duty. But remember, first of all, there's no stamp duty on a first-time buyer, right? So we are already exempting that. So there'll be no valuation anyway. So it's only, let's go by the bill. There'll be no stamp duty accruing on a first-time buyer of an affordable house.
Very well.
So we might be thinking there's a lot of valuation required, but there'll be no valuation required anyway, because there's no stamp duty. Then two, it's only at the resale point that we will then have the requirement for valuations. But be that as it may, recognize there'll be a lot of housing. I'm willing to concede to a situation where we then have chief government valuer or registered practicing valuers approved by the chief government valuer. So that we, whatever happens, is that those people must be on the panel of the chief government valuer, and he can take disciplinary action if they add a value. Once we have that amendment, then we will take care of the increase in numbers, and at the same point, we have one person who is accountable.
The chair, before I give to further any other member, why don't we give the chance to the chair? He could be speaking to all the issues that the members are raising, and then I will open it up.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I hereby stand to do a further amendment because, you know, the input which members have put is very, very correct, that and very important, that the whole thinking of bringing in the valuers is good so that the process will not be slow, but it is good to have a control over the same valuers.
Proceed.
So I'm proposing to move the amendment in the form which I had moved, but with a further amendment by amending it, by inserting the words appointed by the chief government valuer immediately after the words practicing valuer. Yes. So these valuers will be appointed by the chief government valuer to lessen his job.
Yes, members, I'll have to propose. I have to propose that question. Honorable Kimani, you can't speak until I propose to that, so that then you speak to that amendment. Honorable members, I propose that section honorable members, I wanted to get that corrected. Honorable members, I propose that the amendment proposed by the chair be further amended by inserting the words appointed by the chief government valuer immediately after the words practicing valuer. I open to speaking to that particular amendment. Order, Honorable Kimani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, when you hear honorable members through Mr. Speaker talking about these valuers, we must remember that in its wisdom, this House has a Valuers Act that defines who a valuer is and their qualifications to a valuer, which are no less than those appointed by the government valuers. Mr. Speaker, we've had millions and billions of shillings lost through people that have been appointed by government. So why don't we empower these professional bodies so that they become self-regulating, so that these valuers can be regulated by their professional bodies because they are equally as qualified as all these other valuers.
Yeah,
and with that, I support, Mr. Speaker.
Order members, I will be putting this question, but Honorable Mohammed Sheikh, why are you completely agitated on this particular one? Honorable Mohammed Sheikh.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. Apologies, I wasn't agitated, but I really wanted to raise this, that we are holding this country into the shackles, or if you like, into chains. We want our professionals to develop, our professionals to be able to be practicing, our professionals to be able to deliver, and therefore we should not be living in the olden days thinking that private practitioners cannot be able to deliver truthfully and in just. And therefore, we must support our private practitioners the way we do support. For example, we go to private medical practitioners who take care of us. Then we should be allowing other professionals who can be able to deliver, who can be able to represent this country. So,
Order members,
from the leader of the minority.
Members, Honorable Mohammed, order members. Order Mohammed, Honorable Mohammed, Honorable Mohammed, you have absolutely the right to speak and to present the way you are doing. It is within your right, completely. Members, I'll put the question that the amendment by the chair be further amended by inserting the words appointed by the chief government valuer immediately after the words practicing valuer. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Members, I now put the question that section 117.1 of the Stamp Duty Act be, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Provisions relating to the value added tax, 2013, Act number 35 of 2013, first schedule, section A, part A. Part 1.
Honorable members, I propose that first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be amended as proposed in the bill. Chair, you have some amendments.
Oh, thank you.
We will ask him.
There is failure, Mr. Chair, here. All right, thank you. This particular section A, part 1 of the first schedule, to bring members to speed is that the bill is proposing to move quite a number of items from zero rated to exempt. These particular items, if they are moved from zero rated to exempt, what it means is that the manufacturers of these particular goods will not be able to claim tax, input tax, especially issues like power and all that. Yeah, and therefore, after going through with the stakeholders, the committee went through it and decided on the basis that some of these items will hurt the members of the public who are the consumers. And therefore, we are proposing to delete particular items which will hurt, which will actually make goods more expensive for Kenyans, because you know if they are not able to claim tax, they'll move the same tax to the price. And we are proposing to delete the following paragraphs. Paragraph 94, which is talking about the taxable supplies on housing, construction, which will make the same houses which we want to make them cheaper, expensive. And that paragraph 95, which is talking about construction and other hotels and special economic zones. Paragraph 100.
Order member, Chair, just for purposes of the tidiness of the process, and so that members do a follow-up, because we are dealing with the 94 and 95, I advise that we deal with that, because you'll notice that between 95 and 100, there are 4 paragraphs actually that don't need amendments. So then we don't confuse the members.
Okay.
So let's dispense with that.
So okay, I stand guided. We deal with 94.
Yes.
Yeah, and 95, which we are proposing to delete.
Yes, honorable members, I propose a question, which is that paragraph 94, 95 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be amended, be deleted as proposed by the chair. Yes, Minority Leader.
I can hear my teacher shouting, put the question. But I think once we dispose of this, I think even the others will be very easy because it's almost the same. But Chair, I wanted just to point out what the chair did say, that there is a distinction between zero rating and exempt, and that a lot of times it confuses many people. Like if you are talking about exempting housing, for example, if you exempt, it means you are not able to claim input tax, but you will not charge output tax. But zero rating, you'll be able to claim. Now, when you use nails, you use iron sheets, you use paint, you'll be, the person who has constructed the building will be able to claim back the tax paid on those items. Therefore, if it is exempt, it becomes more expensive as opposed to zero rating. And therefore, because these are essential commodities, I think this House should just revert back to where we were. We tell the Treasury that we are not agreeable to their decision to exempt these items. I support the amendment. Thank you.
Yes. Just maybe let's have the last, the final person. I put the question. Yes. Very well, honourable members. I put the question that paragraph 94, 95 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Paragraphs 96, 97, 98, and 99.
Honourable members, I propose that paragraph 96, 97, 98, 99 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be part of the bill. I put the question, which is that paragraph 96, 97, 98, 99 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Paragraphs 100, 101, and 102.
Honourable members, I propose the question that paragraph 100, 101, 102 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be part of the bill. Chair, you have some amendments to that?
Okay, Mr. Chair, in the same way, we are also proposing to delete paragraph 100, 101, and 102. In the same way, it is going to make life expensive for Kenyans. Under paragraph 100 is dealing with medicine. Under paragraph 101 is dealing with the gas, which is helping us make gas cheaper so that we save our forest. Paragraph 102 is about milk, and therefore I propose that we delete 100, 102, and 100, 101, and 102.
Yes, I must propose the deletion first. Honourable members, I propose that paragraphs 100, 101, 102 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed by the chair. Yes, Honourable Kimunya.
I'm a chair. I'm trying to do a quick consultation. Perhaps the committee may have had the advantage of the consultation, because first schedule is on exempt supplies. Okay? The first schedule is on the supplies that are exempt from VAT. Now, even as we are deleting, the assumption is that we are deleting from exempt and they'll be retained within the zero rated. But they are not within, I just want to confirm, are they within the zero rated schedule? Yeah, because I was just doing a quick reference and I'm not sure whether they actually are. So I just want to know, confirm for the benefit of the House, that what we are deleting here from first schedule is not, we don't delete from the first schedule, and it's also not on the zero rated schedule. Yeah, because what it means is that it will be vatable. Yeah, it will, no, if it's not specifically said that these are zero rated, then they'll be vetted. So I just want to make sure that that clarification.
Just to clarify.
Very well, Minority Leader.
Okay, just to clarify, when we delete from the, the proposal, the current in the current form, the proposal is that they are being moved from zero rating to exempt. Now that we are deleting this particular proposal, we are also deleting at a later stage. You'll see at a later stage we'll be deleting the proposal which was moving these particular items from second schedule. So we will also take action on second schedule.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Chair, you know I'm so familiar with this VAT Act because I brought amendments, a raft of amendments in 2014 after the government had put to vatable almost all basic commodities. And I remember these are the same items that we took back to zero rating. Now what the government was trying to do is to take them from zero rating to exempt. Now if we amend by deleting, it means we are not taking them to exempt, we are reverting back to zero rating. So that is the position.
Yes, Majority Leader.
The bill belongs to National Treasury, and I'm the one who brought it. What the bill is saying, the bill is deleting all those zero-rated items. And once we agree with that, it goes back to exempt, and to make it very expensive for the people. Because now, the cost will go even on packaging, on many things.
Yes,
so
Honorable.
So we need to move. Put the question.
Yeah, well, Honorable Dawood, must you speak to it?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I agree with what the Chair is saying. And Chair, the Treasury moved these things. First, it was in zero rating. It moved to exempt 1 year back and moves it again. So Treasury should do taxes with certainty because we cannot have been moving every year.
Very well, Honorable members, I must put the question on this one. I put the question that paragraph 100, 101, 102 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Paragraph 103.
I propose that paragraph 103 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax 2013 be part of the bill. Chair, you have an amendment?
Mr. Chair, we propose an amendment by deleting the expression ordinary bread appearing in the proposed new paragraph 103. The import of this, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, is to make bread cheaper and affordable for the Kenyan people. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is that the amendment? Chair, did you propose an amendment to that? Okay, very well. I propose a question, which is that paragraph 103 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be amended as proposed by the chair. Honorable members, I put the question that paragraph 103 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax 2013 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Paragraph 104.
Honorable members, I propose that paragraph 104 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax 2013 be part of the bill. Chair, is there an amendment to that? 104, paragraph 104.
Mr. Chair, I propose that paragraph 104 be deleted. Mr. Chair, this is actually on agricultural pests, pest control products. So it is going to help the farmers when, at least to be cheaper. Yeah.
Honorable members, I propose the question that paragraph 104 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed by the chair. I put the question that paragraph 104 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Paragraphs 105 and 106.
Honorable members, I propose a question that paragraph 105. Yes, let me take that again. Honorable members, I propose that paragraph 105 and 106 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be part of the bill. No amendments on that. I put the question that paragraph 105 and 106 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Paragraph 107.
Honorable members, I propose that paragraph 107 be 107 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be part of the bill. Chairman, speak to the amendments, please.
I mean, I think there is a problem there. It is just cutting. Okay. Mr. Chair, I propose that paragraph 107 be deleted. This is on medicine. So it's going to make medicine expensive for the Kenyans, and therefore it will go against the access of universal health care. Mr. Speaker, I propose a deletion.
I propose the question, which is that paragraph 107 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed by the chair. Honorable Agwenyi.
Mr. Chairman, I'm a member of the Finance Committee, and we discovered from the stakeholders that this was going to make it impossible to manufacture medicines in this country. And we've been importing medicines from South Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and elsewhere. Because to manufacture it in this country would be too expensive, and therefore our people will suffer.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Just wanted to add that it was going to make the imported medicine cheaper than medicine manufactured locally. And on a light note, I just wanted to say maybe they were advised by Kemunya. You know, Honorable Kemunya is a capitalist in this house. He wants to tax Kenyans, and I hope he didn't go to Treasury to advise them.
I think Honorable Kemunya was busy writing. I don't know, he didn't catch what you said, but I'm sure you'll be told by Honorable Sankok. Honorable Kimani.
Probably also to add from submission made from our stakeholders, this was going to make it cheaper to go and produce in Tanzania and import into Kenya, rather than producing in Kenya and creating employment for youth in the country.
Very well. Finally, Chair, Budget, you want to speak to this as well? Chair, you have the floor.
Chair, I want to support, and for that basic reason, that it is indeed true. I have a pharmaceutical company operating from Kikuyu, and in the last 3 to 4 years, they have really suffered because of medicine being produced in Tanzania, and even smaller economies like that of Zambia. People are being able to produce cheaper from Zambia, and even transport all that medicine to Kenya and sell it cheaper, and therefore want to support the amendment as proposed by the chair.
Honorable members, I would like to proceed and put the question, which is that paragraph 107 of the first schedule, section A, part 1 of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Second schedule, paragraph A. Second schedule, Part A of the Value Added Tax Act.
Honorable members, I propose that second schedule, Part A of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be part of the bill. Chair, there are a number of amendments to that.
Yes. Mr. Chair, these particular amendments on the second schedule is actually to harmonize what we particularly deleted under Schedule 1. And therefore, I'm proposing to delete paragraph 11. Mr. Chair, to harmonize with the Schedule 1. This is basically actually it's a harmonization of the bill after we did amendments under Schedule 1.
Chair, just to get it clearly from you, are the various paragraphs and the deletion, are they related so that then we move them together? If they are related, then why don't you
propose, though, so that we move faster? I propose that these deletions under
and it will be good
paragraph,
as our chair, as the members are saying, just for you to explain further the import of what you are doing, then we are together.
All right. Mr. Chair, you remember that under what Mr. Honorable Kimunya had indicated before, that be sure that whatever we are deleting here is also harmonized under paragraph, you know, when the proposal was being brought, for instance, to move paragraph 94 to exempt. At the same time, the same item was being proposed to be moved under schedule, the second schedule. Therefore, after we deleted here, we are actually deleting in the second schedule so that it is harmonized.
I'm sure he'll be speaking to that. Honorable members, I propose the question that the second schedule, part A, paragraph, part A of the first of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be amended as proposed by the chair. Very well. Honorable members, I put the question that second schedule, part A of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Chair, have you moved the further amendment?
Yeah, as I indicated earlier, the paragraph 11 was on input on raw materials for manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. And I'm now moving to delete paragraph 13. Paragraph 13 is actually touching on bread, and therefore I'm proposing to delete paragraph 13 and substituting thereof with a new paragraph which I had moved under Schedule 1.
All I wanted to be clear, I'm told you there was a further amendment. So he has done that.
Yes.
Chair, I just wanted you to confirm that, then we're able to.
Yes.
Very well. Very well.
Put the question.
Clerk.
Committee, and we need to make sure that those become part of the bill.
Yes, very well. Indeed, as you members, we dispensed with paragraph 13, 11, 13, but there is a 7 in the original bill,
7
and 8. So I propose a question that the second schedule, part A, paragraph 7 and 8, be deleted as proposed in the bill. I put the question that second schedule, part A, paragraph 7 and 8 be deleted as proposed in the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Paragraph 14.
Honorable members, I propose that paragraph 14, that is of the second schedule, part A, of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed in the bill. I put the question that paragraph 14 of second schedule, part A, of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed in the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Paragraph 17.
Honorable members, I propose that paragraph 17 of the second schedule, part A, of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed in the bill. I put the question that paragraph 17 of the second schedule, part A, of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed in the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
New paragraph 18.
We haven't reached part B as well. So there is a new paragraph. Chair.
Yeah. I propose a new section by inserting the following paragraph immediately after paragraph 17. Paragraph 18. Input of raw materials for electric accumulators and separators, including lead battery separators, rolls.
Bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Part B, paragraphs 6 and 7 of the second schedule to the Value Added Tax Law.
Honorable members, I propose the question, which is that Part B, paragraph 6 and 7 of the second schedule of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed in the bill. Members, I put the question, which is that Part B, paragraph 6 and 7 of the second schedule of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed in the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Part C of the second schedule to the Value Added Tax Act.
I propose the question, which is that Part C of second schedule of the Value Added Tax Act 2013 be deleted as proposed in the bill. Chair.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I propose that we delete Part C. We delete the proposed amendment, Part C. Part C of the proposed amendment. I propose that we delete Part C of the proposed amendment. This is actually touching on medicine. Yeah, on medicine, which was being proposed to be exempted, but now we have returned it to zero rate.
So, Chair, just for purposes of members, so that they are clear, you are basically opposing the proposed deletion in the bill, so that then the members are clear. Honorable members, I propose a question that the with as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay, the ayes have it.
New provision relating to the Betting, Lotteries, Gaming, and Gaming Act Cap 131.
I propose the question that the new provisions of the Betting, Lotteries, and Gaming Act Cap 131 be part of the bill. Honorable Chair.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, in the same spirit where by proposal by Treasury that we should bring everybody to board, on
Chair,
board. Yeah?
Chair,
Yes.
order, Chair, because these are totally new
Yes.
provision, so you need to move that they be for a second reading of those new provision. What is it, Honorable Iringo?
Chair, thank you. Chair, I stand on provision of standing order number 35. Chair, given the weight of this item which is about to be proposed here, and given the numbers in this House, Chair, we are very few to transact this business. This is a very serious business which needs proper quorum in the House, and the numbers here cannot make that decision, Mr. Chairman. That is my observation, Chair. Thank you.
Let that be confirmed. Well, then the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes.
Kenya shillings, which was actually not budgeted here in this parliament. And Madam Speaker, it's very clear that the laws were flouted, and clearly the Treasury did what ought not to have been done at that particular time. But even talking about corruption, Madam Speaker, this is the reason some of us are coming up with amendments in our corruption laws. Because the kind of impunity we are seeing in our country is because you can do anything in this country, even in broad daylight. You go to our courts, you go to our institutions, and you come out scot-free. And Madam Speaker, we have to make people fear being corrupt. And that is one of the motives, and that is one of the reasons some of us are actually going ahead to amend our anti-corruption laws to include more stiffer penalties, including enlisting some of these crimes. Some of these crimes to be punished through capital punishment, Madam Speaker. And I was very happy last week to see in China that some guy who had received some bribes, who was a deputy mayor at some point in China, was actually sentenced to death after being found guilty of colluding and collecting bribes. But even, Madam Speaker, even as we borrow from countries that have been able to eradicate or bring down corruption levels lower, I am even happy about a country like Singapore, which we can borrow from, so that we can mitigate and we can protect public money from this kind of blatant stealing. Madam Speaker, in 1986, there was a CS or a cabinet secretary in Singapore who was in charge of housing. And when he was found guilty, and he was under investigations actually before being found guilty, he tried to call the president, Lee Kuan Yew then. But Lee Kuan Yew advised this gentleman, who was actually his personal friend, to first finish up with the equivalent of EACC in Singapore then. And because of the shame that he brought to the leader of the government, that is Lee Kuan Yew, the guy actually committed suicide. Our country, Madam Speaker, we are at a level where instead of being ashamed when we are found in corruption acts, we are actually celebrated. Madam Speaker, this has to come to an end, and we have to have more stiffer penalties. But I'm happy by reading the recommendations of the committee that their recommendations are specific even to the officers. Because even as we talk about National Art Commission, it is not led by animals or robots. It is led by individuals. And these individuals, led by the chair, Professor Swazuri, they have to carry personal responsibility even as we continue with the probe of this theft, and even as our agencies, multi-agencies, carry out investigations. But Madam Speaker, as I finish, I am very disappointed by the many commissions we formed in the new constitution. Starting with the National Art Commission, Madam Speaker, it was instituted to provide solutions to the much bedeviled art sector in this country. But since the inception of the National Art Commission, we've had more art problems than there before. Going to an institution like NTSA, another commission, we have seen actually increment of accidents in our roads since its creation. Going to SRC, we have seen ballooning of the wage bill of this country since its creation. And therefore, Madam Speaker, as I wind up, starting with the National Art Commission, we have to rethink whether these commissions are actually serving Kenyans or is just a way of siphoning public money through increasing the recurrent expenditure that we are all creating on trying to bring a bit lower and down so that we can create actually more money to go to the real development of this country. And therefore, Madam Speaker, all the officers that are mentioned, starting with Professor Swazuri and the other officers, going to the people who paid at the Treasury, going to the AG, these people have to carry personal responsibility. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to support this report and motion.
Before the chair is ready, she's already instructed me. Honorable Kimunya Muhinga, as I consult with the chair on her proposed amendment, which has already been approved by the Speaker.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Madam Speaker, I'd like to support this motion by the committee, and from the outset, I wish to commend the committee for a very comprehensive report, and more so in the manner that they have focused on the issues and not taken upon themselves to apportion blame, but to identify the issues and seek further delving into the matters by the agencies that have been set for the purposes of that. So I'm very happy with the whole flow of it, and I do agree that we obviously need to get the DCI to look deeper into some of these issues. I want to take cue from where the Honorable Nyoro has said, because when we went to Bomas, as part of the process of creating the new constitution, and as a result of the land grabbing that was taking place in the 90s, and the formulation of the Jonjo Commission on Land, Dungu Commission, one of the things that came up is that, yes, the duties of the then Commission of Lands were allowing people to actually mess up with our land management system, and it was decided that perhaps it should be removed from an individual and institutionalized within a National Land Commission. And we all thought that we now were safe, that now land will be managed properly, valuations will be done properly, but where we have seen is that the ill we were trying to cure, where government land was sold at the lowest price, and when government was buying, it was valued at the highest costs. We seem to be seeing more of the escalation of that. And that pattern has become very clear. When you look at land that has been acquired for the SGR, the land has been acquired for schools, land has been acquired for roads, and it's almost creating some speculative purposes. And people are busy looking at where is the next road being planned to go and buy that land, because the National Commission will come and overvalue it, and the public loses the value of the road because all the money goes to do to compensate people for the land. So it's something we need to figure out where the rain started beating us and how we can do that as a house. And I do believe when we now discuss the new law on the land indexes and all that, perhaps we might get an answer. Madam Speaker, this trend has gone beyond, members, government, acquiring land from members of the public. You will see development projects being impeded by the haggling between two government bodies. One owns the land, and is actually saying the government cannot use the land, which is public land, until they are compensated to be used by another government body. And I believe the Lands Committee will be looking at that to see how we could do it. I also want to express my surprise that, this land was planned in 1984. The owners had noticed that they are the ones who applied for replanning. But they waited for 33 years, speculating on the land, or probably when people cannot remember what was happening, to then come and say that part of that land has been occupied by a school, and hence they need to be compensated. And I wonder whether this was triggered by perhaps the hefty, compensation that people saw within the SGR. And we need to ask ourselves, when such a similar thing happens, should we be compensating at the rate that should have been used in 1984, or should we be compensating at the current rate? So that we don't end up, like having a school that is now worth 3.2 billion shillings on 13 acres of land. And Madam Speaker, if you know where Ruaraka is, for land to be valued at 239 million per acre, land in Muthaiga is not going for 230 per acre. It's within the neighborhood of 200 million per acre. And that is Muthaiga. Now Ruaraka, if you are buying land in that neighborhood, even those plots, I doubt if you'll be buying at a portion. But because it's government buying, and because perhaps we know it's also actually not the government buying, it's some cartel, as we were told by the leader that in fact, this first 1.5 billion seem to have disappeared into several checks, and the owner is still waiting for the balance to accrue to his account. It tells you that this was a major ripoff, and action should be taken so that we end up with value for money. Because, Madam Speaker, we are talking about building houses under the Big Four. And if the government is going to acquire land across the country for the Big Four, in this fashion, then you can be sure that the houses we've been told will cost 1.5 million will be a pipe dream. They will never be realized because 1 acre of land will be costing 239. How many houses can you put on that to be able to sell to the poor Kenyan? So it's something that we need action at the highest level in terms of reining in on the officers who are involved in this, as the DCI and other agencies also look into this matter. Madam Speaker, coming to the recommendations, I'm very happy, obviously, that the committee has tried to assign the various responsibilities, and there's only one or two, specifically the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, for all its failings, for all its ills, and we know it has had its major failures. But on this particular issue, I'm actually lost in terms of where they come in within the money payment chain. This money seemed to have been approved within the accounting officers, and they went in to investigate after the money had gone and had been disbursed within the banks. Now, if they are culpable at some point, it will come out. But I don't quite agree with the recommendation number 6, that the EACC should be taking responsibility for loss of public funds, because they are not part of the IFMIS system. They are not part of the payment approval system. And hence, perhaps we may have overstretched in terms of trying to rein in as many players as possible. But obviously, everyone down the chain, from the person who initiated the transaction, to the person who disbursed the money, to the banks that have been used in the redistribution of that money, that all those people should be brought into the investigation by the DCI. Then we can be able to see where our 1.5 billion disappeared to and what we have received in return. But as I close, Madam Speaker, I want to reinstate what I've said before, that yes, we got a new constitution, and we all said we are happy. We created all these independent commission on the understanding that they were going to help remove the excesses of the executive, but the proliferation has not brought value to the Kenyan people. And it's important that we now relook at them because, well, they're independent, but some of them seem to appear to say they are not answerable to anyone. And if they have to become relevant into the future, then we need to see that we're getting value from them. And NLC is obviously one of those bodies, plus so many others that we keep questioning here in terms of what are they actually, what value are they adding to this country. So, Madam Speaker, we all support the fight against corruption by the President and the Executive. And we would like to see demonstration of some of those low-hanging fruits in some recovery of some of these monies that we see has disappeared. And if it could come back, it perhaps will give some faith that, in fact, this talk about fighting corruption is not just fighting at the low level, but where somebody disappears with 1.5 billion shillings and is still claiming 1.8 and has not even given titles for 4.7 billion shillings, that, yes, we actually determine that no public funds will be lost through fictitious or inflated payments because of people colluding to take public money into their pocket and deny the Kenyan children the right to school, the right to value for this, the medication that would have been done. And indeed, as people have said, how many more schools would have been done with 3.2 billion shillings? Madam Speaker, with those words, I beg to support and seek the chair to take into consideration our recommendations.
Thank you, Honorable Kimunya. Honorable members, the chairperson, Honorable Nyamai, has an amendment which has already been approved procedurally. Honorable Nyamai, you can move your amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that paragraph 6 of the recommendations of the report be deleted. Honorable Speaker, this is the recommendation that talks about EACC. Honorable Speaker, the mood of the House, during the discussions, we have been seated here, we have been listening, and also as a committee, after we had finished writing this report, EACC has done a very good job in terms of following up on this matter. So I would like to ask the members to agree on that amendment of expunging EACC from recommendation number 6. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to move, and I would like to ask the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wa to second.
Honorable Kimani Ichung'wa for seconding of the amendment proposed by the chair.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And before I move, I second, I just want your confirmation that this will not prejudice me from speaking to this motion, because I do want to move a further amendment.
No. Honorable Ichung'wa, we are going to speak. It's an amendment, but now we still go back to the old report. It's an amendment to the report. You are speaking seconding.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wanted that because there's a further amendment that I discussed with the chair, which I intend to move tomorrow. But I do want to support the amendment, the proposed amendment by the chair, which she says clearly it was in pursuant to the mood of the House, and I clearly shared those views also, that we should not be seen as a House to be punishing EACC in the course of their work as an investigative agency. And indeed, since this matter is still under investigations by EACC, and we also bring in DCI into it, I think it's only right that we are not seen to be asking EACC to take responsibility, because at the end of the day, as Honorable Muhinga has mentioned, Honorable Muhinga is Honorable Kimunya, Amos Muhinga Kimunya has mentioned that EACC really does not have access to the payment systems of government, and they may not know. And I was just sharing with the Vice Chair of the committee here, and I was saying on a point of information that indeed EACC had initially stopped this payment, but then allowed the payment to continue. But even with that, Honorable Chair, you must accept that EACC may be also constrained as to for how long they can hold payment, a payment that probably is due. And since they have all the powers, and government has the asset recovery unit and other agencies that would be able to recover this money from the people who are paid this money. But Chair, even as a second, let me say this, let me just not get into the other things I will say tomorrow as I move the other amendments. I therefore wish to support that we do expunge the taking of responsibility by EACC, so that we charge EACC and the DCI to investigate this matter to its logical conclusion and ensure that all the monies that have been lost, and not just on this school land, because this only covers 13 acres. There is also the land that was paid for GSU that holds the mother title. There is the land that was paid by one of the road agencies for during the compensation for the Outer Ring Road. All these monies, Honorable Speaker, should be recovered. And therefore, I beg to support the amendment, or rather second the amendment.
I beg to support the amendment. Honourable members, I propose a question to the amendment, which is that paragraph 6 of the recommendations of the report be deleted. Now, honourable members, I give a point of, you can contribute to the amendment. Yeah, Honourable Omboko.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also would want to beg that my indulging in this particular issue of amendment should not remove my organic jurisdiction to comment on this issue, because when I came to the House, I really had wanted to comment on the issue and have my notes.
Thank you, Honourable Member. If I will give you direction, is that you can only speak to the amendment only. It is not going to get your right to speak to the reports.
Okay, so I'll have a chance.
Yes, so now I've already proposed the amendment. So, honourable members, if you are speaking to this, you are speaking only to the amendment.
Very well.
Thank you.
I wanted to raise the issue of our capacity, really at this particular juncture, to make that amendment, because this was a very emotive issue. I have followed it very clearly since yesterday, and Madam Speaker, I want to thank you. You have also followed it throughout. And given that we don't have real full quorum in the House, we should take care that we don't move it too fast as to make a determination on this amendment. Because yesterday, yes, we saw a few speakers say that EACC should not be held responsible for their actions. But at the same time, we also saw other speakers speak contrary to that and even go to extreme extents of imagining that EACC was involved. So it's my prayer, Madam Speaker, that in this on this particular amendment, we should do it and finalize on it when
Given
we
the
have full
amendment,
quorum
Honorable Member,
in the House.
given the amendment, that is paragraph 6 recommendations, speaking to it, you either support it or don't support the other members.
Thank you. So I further proceed to say
yes.
that I, as a person, do not support that particular amendment because at one point, the EACC almost saved the country or the taxpayers this money. But along the way, again, they released and the money went. And from the contributions and the report we got from the chair, we saw a straight coalition, beginning from the farm that raised this matter in terms of saying that they needed to be compensated. And then we saw the coalition move very fast. It passed around the Ministry of Education. And Honorable Kimunya, who is in the House, and myself, saw that money at one particular time, but we could not block it because of the way it appeared before our Committee in Education. Then the coalition moved quickly and went to Treasury to facilitate quick movement. Then the Attorney General looked like he was giving a medium kind of assertion on this particular report. He did not take responsibility. He had the chance of saying no or yes. And then we are seeing the EACC finally also change its mind and not capture the money. So in my opinion, the EACC should not be expired.
Thank you. In record, you don't support the amendments. And remember, thank you for raising your concerns about that. And I can tell you from where I sit, we may not be able to go to that other point. Honorable Wamunyinyi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And we are speaking to the
I am speaking on
the amendment.
Amendment, Madam Speaker. First, I want to thank the chair. I think she's been responsive. It is true there have been concerns, Madam Speaker. In cases where theft or corruption or large amounts are involved, usually it involves many and normally big people. Because you look at how this has taken place, the Ministry of Education, first of all, even the Treasury, you start from the Treasury, where preparation for the money, Honorable Kimunya knows, preparation for the money and how it's released and channeled to some other departments is done there. And for them to release huge amount of money, it's not normally a small person, no. It must have been to the top. The Ministry of Education, the Attorney General, the Ministry of Lands, the National Land Commission, and all the other parties involved. These are the people to hold responsible. They even sometimes put in place measures in order to beat anybody trying to block, including EACC and other agencies of government. So for that reason, Madam Speaker, and I would like to also speak on the main motion at some point, but for that reason, where we all appreciate that people who conspire to either steal or commit crime or fraudulently acquire, like this one I think is something which was done at the time when land was being taken away or when land was being listed or registered or subdivided. Then it moved on to that point where payment was pursued, Madam Speaker. So I would like to give a benefit to the EACC, because I strongly feel if at the first attempt they had wanted to stop payment, someone from government must have convinced them that there is nothing wrong with this. And we need to agree that people conspire even at all levels to steal. And because of that, I don't want to take a lot of time on this, but I want to say because they attempted. And also we expect that a lot more needs to be done on this particular matter. I support this proposed amendment. We should pass it and move on, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Shabani.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Pia nami nataka kuunga mkono mwenyekiti wa kusimamia masuala ya kamati ya ardhi ya kwamba hichi kipengele cha 6 kiondolewe kwenye ripoti hii kwa sababu hii tume ya kusimamia masuala ya ufisadi ukweli ni kwamba japokuwa kwa upande wao walijaribu kupigana na swala hili wao hawakuwa na nguvu za kuweza kusimamisha pesa hizi zisiweze kupeanwa katika njia ile ambayo iliyotumika. Vile vile Mheshimiwa Spika, sababu yangu pia nyingine ni kuwa swala hili la tume hii ya kupigania kupigana na ufisadi hapa nchini ni tume ambayo kusema ukweli tumeibadilisha sijui mara nyingi kwa sababu hatujafurahikia kazi ile ambayo imekuwa ikiendelea, lakini tume hii ya sasa hivi wanajaribu, na watu wakijaribu tusiwapatie adhabu kwa kujaribu na kazi ile ambayo wameweza kufanya. Hivyo wakati tunavyoendelea kuzungumzia ripoti hii itakuwa ni vizuri kwetu sisi kulirudia tena jambo hili la kuwa je, pesa za wananchi zimetumika vizuri, na kama hazijatumika vizuri kamati kwa kazi ile iliyofanya, je, masuala haya yote yafuatiliziwe vilivyo. Asante sana, naunga mkono.
Naunga mkono. Honorable Kingara Ngang, member for Ruiru.
Asante sana Bi Speaker. Mimi nimesimama kuunga mkono kuondolewa kwa kipengele hiki cha 6 ambacho kinahusisha EACC. Sababu yake Bi Speaker ni kuwa ukiangalia katika maneno mengi yale yameongelezwa hapa bungeni, umeona EACC vile ndio kikundi kile tutahitaji kufanya upelelezi na utafiti wa mwisho wa ripoti hile tumeweka katika bunge hili. Na vile wakati tulikuwa tunafanya ripoti tulikuja kupata hawakuwa na uwezo Bi Speaker kusimamisha malipo ya pesa kwa sababu hiyo haiko ndani yao. Na kama sisi tungependa kuendelea, ni vizuri tukaangalia ni akina nani wamehusika na tukaangalia ni akina nani wanaweza kutusaidia kutafuta mwelekeo wa wale wamehusika. Kwa hivyo mimi nimesimama kuunga mkono kuondolewa kwa kipengele hicho ndio tuweze kuendelea kukamilisha ripoti hii muhimu ambaye nchi yetu ya Kenya huenda ikapoteza pesa mingi. Asante, naunga.
Mheshimiwa Mwashetani, you have 1 minute.
Asante sana Bi Speaker kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia katika kuondolewa kwa kipengele hichi cha 6 katika maamuzi ambayo tulikuja nayo. Bi Speaker, pengine nikileta hoja ya kusema kuwa sababu yetu sisi kama kamati kuchukua msimamo hile ilikuwa ni kwa sababu tulipowaita EACC kuuliza maswali kulingana kwa maswali kuhusu swala hili, waliweza kutuambia kuwa wao, kwa sababu ni swala ambalo lina umuhimu na ni lazima maswala mengine yafichwe.
Thank you, thank you. Honorable Mashetani, you will have your 9 minutes to speak to the amendment in the next sitting in the time appropriated for the same. So you'll have a balance of 9 minutes. Honorable members, the time being 7 p.m., this House stands adjourned till Thursday, 28th June, 2018 at 2:30 p.m.